You are about to drop 25 grand on a flagship motorcycle. The stakes are high, and the emotion is even higher. Modern superbikes have now crossed the 200 horsepower threshold. Just a decade ago, you needed to be a professional racer on a closed circuit to experience that kind of power. But trying to make your buying decision by comparing a spec sheet, weighing 205 horsepower against 209, is a trap. You cannot safely or legally reach the limits of these machines on public roads. That brings us to the BMW S1000RR. It is the analytical, highly engineered benchmark of the leader bike class. Yet it constantly competes against two very different machines for your wallet: the wildly passionate Ducati Panigale V4 and its own street-focused sibling, the M1000R. At this tier, your money buys a specific set of physical and emotional trade-offs that determine your daily experience. This chart shows the 5 metrics defining superbike ownership: street usability, track prowess, visceral thrill, thermal comfort, and ergonomics. For the S1000RR, a pragmatic profile emerges. It spikes high in everyday usability and thermal comfort, scoring slightly lower on raw thrill. Compare that to the Panigale V4's purest profile. It maxes out track prowess and emotion, but craters when keeping the rider cool. Finally, the M1000R shows a street-biased profile, trading track geometry for upright, ergonomic dominance. Finding the right bike means looking closely at your daily life and deciding which of these shapes actually fits it. The biggest dividing line between these bikes is engine architecture, the precise German inline-4 versus the aggressive Italian V4. BMW uses shift cam technology on its inline-4. By varying the valve timing, the engine delivers incredibly smooth and accessible torque right at the low end. But the real lifestyle benefit here is heat management. The BMW routes thermals exceptionally well, keeping the bike relatively cool even when you are stuck in stop-and-go traffic. The trade-off is acoustic. The inline-4 produces a more clinical sound profile and introduces a persistent high RPM buzz right into the handlebars. Then you have the Panigale. Its 1103cc V4 engine is pulled directly from MotoGP development, giving it a reputation for brutal, aggressive power delivery. Crack the throttle and it generates a deep, visceral roar that the German bikes simply cannot match. But there is a severe cost to that layout. Operating that V4 at low city speeds produces extreme, punishing heat directly against the rider's legs. This matrix shows how your engine choice dictates your commute. You either get a summer ride that is clinically efficient, or one that becomes a physically painful event. Next, we have to look at the rider triangle. That is the spatial relationship between your seat, your foot pegs, and your handlebars. Traditional, fully faired superbikes, exactly like the S1000RR and the Panigale, are built from the ground up for maximum aerodynamics. They use low clip-on handlebars and firm, high seats. This creates maximum body positioning leverage when you are leaning into a corner on a racetrack. But on an everyday urban commute, that exact posture forces your weight forward. It leads to severe wrist fatigue, severe back strain, and poor visibility in traffic. This is the ergonomic counterargument of the M1000R. It strips away the fairings and installs a wide, flat handlebar. That simple change gives you instant steering leverage and an upright posture that is perfect for carving through dense city streets. But naked bikes have their own cost. Without those fairings, riding at sustained highway speeds subjects you to an exhausting, brutal blast of wind directly to your chest. Looking at our matrix, you have to choose your pain: suffering wrist strain at low speeds on a superbike, or fighting the wind at high speeds on a naked bike. Let's shift to the S1000RR's reputation for deep electronic and mechanical integration. BMW executes rider aids exceptionally well. Their factory quickshifter provides butter-smooth gear changes up and down the transmission, and their dynamic damping control constantly adapts the suspension settings to the road conditions on the fly. However, checking owner forums reveals a stark contrast between marketing promises and the reality of long-term ownership. Owners document a history of specific quirks. Right-side control switches fail from heat exposure, and kickstand sensor issues can cause random stalling. Maintaining this level of German precision requires you to adhere to incredibly strict and expensive service intervals. The matrix highlights a key reality. Hyper-refinement brings its own complexity, and maintaining that German precision requires a dedicated long-term budget. This chart provides a final framework to make your decision, based entirely on where you actually ride. If we follow the urban and street path, the decision comes down to posture and wind protection. We call this profile the street realist. If 95% of your riding happens below 100 miles per hour, and you want superbike power in a usable posture, buy the M1000R. Now look at the track and fast sweepers path. It asks one ultimate question. Are you willing to sweat for passion? If you answer yes, you are the passionate purist. You view motorcycling as a visceral weekend event and tolerate physical discomfort for pure emotion. The Panigale V4 is your bike. But if you follow the no path, you land on the pragmatic optimizer. This is where the S1000RR lives. It is the definitive gentleman's superbike. It is for the rider who wants to take a 205 horsepower track weapon to work on a Tuesday without their legs overheating in traffic. There is no objectively perfect superbike. Success is simply choosing the machine whose specific flaws perfectly align with the reality of your life.